Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are in the middle of chaos. Traffic is unbearable. Your phone won't stop vibrating with urgent messages. Someone gives you a disapproving look on the street, and to top it off, unexpected news threatens to derail your plans. Now take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this really have to steal your peace? What if I told you that true freedom is not about trying to control everything around you, but about learning not to be controlled by any of it? Most people spend their entire lives believing that peace comes from perfect circumstances, a stable job, harmonious relationships, recognition, enough money to not worry. But this is a dangerous illusion. Because the moment something goes off track, and it always does, tranquility vanishes like smoke in the wind. Now, imagine the opposite, a life where no person, event, or circumstance has the power to destabilize you, where you are no longer a hostage to your emotions, nor a slave to others' expectations, where, regardless of what happens outside, inside you, everything remains firm, solid, unshakable. Sounds impossible? But this reality is within your reach. Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers in psychology, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In other words, as long as you don't understand what happens inside your own mind, you will continue to be dragged by emotions you don't even know the origin of. But when you learn to master your inner world, nothing else can master you. And that is exactly what we are going to explore today. If you are tired of being a hostage to external chaos and want to discover how to build a peace that no one can steal, stay with me until the end. Because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you see life. If you look around, you will see that most people are in a relentless pursuit of something they don't even know how to define. They believe that when they finally get that dream job, when they are recognized, when they find the ideal partner, or when they eliminate all of life's difficulties, then finally they will be able to relax. They will feel peace. But this is a subtle and dangerous trap, because if your peace depends on something external, then it will never truly be yours. Think about it. How many times have you achieved something you thought would bring happiness, only to realize that the feeling of satisfaction was short-lived? You got what you wanted, but soon a new worry, a new desire, a new problem emerged. And so, the peace that seemed within reach slipped through your fingers once again. Understand that as long as you don't realize that the real chaos is not in the world, but inside your own mind, you will continue to be a slave to circumstances. The truth is that peace was never outside. It has always been within you, merely covered by the noise of your own thoughts, by the expectations you carry, by the fears implanted in you since childhood. The external world is unpredictable. People will disappoint you, plans will fail, challenges will arise. But none of this has the power to shake you unless you give it that power. So the question you need to ask yourself is not, how do I control everything around me to find peace? But rather, how can I find peace within myself, regardless of what happens outside? And the answer to that begins with an essential step, looking inward and understanding what is truly controlling you. If true peace does not come from the external world but from our internal state, why do so many people still live trapped in suffering? The answer lies in an invisible yet extremely powerful cycle, the mental programming we carry from childhood. From the moment we are born, we are like sponges, absorbing everything around us. We absorb our parents' beliefs, society's fears, the expectations of the culture we grow up in. We learn, often without realizing it, that our worth is conditioned on others' approval, that making mistakes is unacceptable, that we must always be strong, that certain emotions must be repressed. And so, without anyone teaching us to question these patterns, we grow up carrying an invisible burden. The result? We become adults trapped in uncontrollable thoughts, overwhelming emotions, and an inexplicable emptiness. Have you ever felt this? That feeling that no matter how hard you try, something inside you always holds you back, as if there were an inner voice constantly criticizing you, making you doubt yourself, preventing you from simply relaxing and living? This happens because throughout life, we have been programmed to react automatically. When something hurts us, we don't stop to reflect. We just react, as if we were on autopilot. We get angry, feel rejected, sink into anxiety or sadness, without realizing that these reactions are not truly ours. They are echoes of the past, reflections of a wounded child within us, still seeking protection, validation, and security. But how long will you allow this wounded child to control your life? How long will you let old fears, limiting beliefs, and unconscious patterns determine your choices, your emotions, and your peace? The truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the one who observes all of this. And when you start to realize this difference, something changes. You stop being a prisoner of your own inner world and begin to regain control over yourself. But for that, courage is needed. Courage to look within, to question what has always been taken for granted, to face the shadows you have avoided for so long, because only when you do this does true transformation begin. If there is one inevitable fact in life, it is that we do not have control over everything. The world is unpredictable. People will disappoint us, plans will fail, challenges will arise. But if we cannot control what happens, what can we control? The answer lies in how we interpret and react to each situation. Two people can go through the same experience and come out of it with completely different perceptions. Imagine two people who lose their jobs on the same day. One falls into despair, feels defeated, begins to doubt their own worth, and sinks into negative thoughts. The other, although also feeling the initial impact, sees the situation as an opportunity for a fresh start, to seek something better, to grow. What changed? The external reality was the same, but the way each person interpreted the situation was different, and this is exactly where the key to true freedom lies. Peace does not come from the absence of conflict, but from how we deal with it. If you spend your life trying to avoid problems, trying to control everything so that nothing goes off track, you will be constantly frustrated. But if you learn to change your response to what happens, then nothing can shake you. Think of your mind as a river. When you resist the current, trying to swim against it, you exhaust yourself, wear yourself out, and become frustrated. But when you learn to flow with the water, to use the current to your advantage, the effort decreases and the journey becomes lighter. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. That matters." And this is one of the most powerful lessons you can learn, because in the end, life will always be uncertain. But when you understand that your peace does not depend on what happens, but on how you choose to interpret and react, then you become truly free, and that freedom is something no one can take away from you. If true freedom lies in how we react to what happens, then an essential question arises. How can we control our reactions if our mind is always dragging us away from the present? Most people live trapped in two places that do not exist: the past and the future. We relive old wounds, dwell on past conversations, blame ourselves for mistakes we can no longer change. Or we project ourselves into the future, anticipating problems, creating fear-based scenarios, trying to predict and control what has not even happened yet. And in this process, we lose the only moment that truly exists. The now. The present is the only place where life happens. But ironically, it is the place where we spend the least time. Our mind pulls us away, making us relive pains that should have already been left behind or suffer over things that may never happen. But what if, instead of being prisoners of our mind, we learn to observe what happens within it? Here is one of the greatest secrets to finding peace. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. Imagine that your mind is a tool like a hammer. If you don't know how to use it, you might end up hurting yourself, breaking things around, you destroying what is important. But if you learn to use it consciously, you can build something solid, something that truly makes sense. The problem is that most people never learned how to use their own mind. They believe they are their thoughts, that everything that passes through their head is true, that every negative emotion must be fed. But this is not real. When you start observing your thoughts instead of identifying with them, something changes. You realize that you don't have to believe everything your mind says, that not every worry deserves your attention, that not every emotion needs to be fed. And most importantly, you realize that peace is not about trying to control the past or the future, but about simply being present. Because it is in the now that you find clarity. It is in the now that you can choose how to react. It is in the now that life truly happens, and when you learn to live in the present, the past loses its power to hurt you, and the future ceases to be a source of anxiety. You finally become the master of yourself. If peace is in the present, why is it so difficult to simply be here and now? The answer is simple, but uncomfortable. Because being present means facing yourself, and the truth is that most people spend their lives running away from this. We live in a world that offers us constant distractions. Our phones are never far away. Social media bombards us with stimuli. Work demands our attention all the time. And when we finally have a moment of silence, we rush to fill it with something. A series, music, a superficial conversation. But why? Because silence scares us. In silence, there are no distractions. In silence, we are forced to face our own thoughts, our insecurities, our deepest fears, and that is something few are willing to do. Society, in a way, encourages this escape. Consumerism teaches us that we always need something more to be happy. Oh, new car, a new phone, a new experience. The search for validation makes us believe that our worth depends on others' approval. The obsession with being busy gives us the illusion that if we are always doing something, we are in control. But all of this is a trap. Because as long as you are distracted, you are disconnected from yourself. And as long as you are disconnected from yourself, you will never find peace. The secret to true peace is not in avoiding silence, but in facing it. When you allow yourself to sit in silence without distractions, something powerful happens. At first, it may be uncomfortable. Your thoughts will arise, your repressed emotions may surface. But if you have the courage to stay there without running away, you will begin to realize something. You are not your fears. You are not your insecurities. You are the one who observes all of this. And it is in that moment that true peace begins to emerge, because peace is not something you find in the external world. It is something you discover within yourself when you finally stop running. If silence teaches us to face ourselves, there is something even deeper we need to understand. Most of our suffering does not come from what happens, but from our resistance to what happens. Think about it. How many times have you felt frustrated because things didn't go as expected? How many times have you suffered because someone didn't act the way you wanted? How many times have you found yourself dwelling on the past, wishing something had been different? This is the root of suffering, the illusion of control. We want life to fit our expectations. We want people to treat us the way we think is fair. We want the world to work according to our rules. But reality does not care about what we want, and the more we resist this, the more we suffer. Imagine you are holding a rope, and someone on the other side is pulling it with force. The more you resist, the more your hands hurt. But the moment you let go of the rope, the pain disappears. Life works the same way when you fight against what you cannot control. You wear yourself out, you get frustrated, you hurt yourself. But when you learn to let go, to accept reality as it is, something incredible happens. Suffering loses its power over you. This does not mean being passive or accepting everything without question. It means understanding the difference between what is in your hands and what is not. You cannot control how others act, but you can control how you react. You cannot change the past, but you can change how you see it. You cannot prevent challenges from arising, but you can decide how to face them. And this is exactly where the true power of detachment lies. Because when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and focus on what you can truly change, your perception, your response, your attitude, then you finally find the peace you have always sought. A peace that does not depend on anything external. A peace that no one can take away from you. If we learn to let go of what we cannot control, a new question arises. What do we do with the pain that inevitably arises throughout life? Because whether we like it or not, pain is part of existence. Losses happen. Disappointments are inevitable. The unexpected always finds us. But there is something that differentiates those who become prisoners of suffering from those who grow stronger. The way they choose to deal with pain. Pain is inevitable. Suffering, however, is optional. The difference between the two lies in how we interpret what happens to us. Nature teaches us this brilliantly. Fire, which destroys entire forests, also plays an essential role in regenerating the land. It burns what no longer serves, creates space for the new, and strengthens the soil so that life can flourish again. Similarly, the pressure that crushes coal over millions of years is the same force that transforms it into a diamond. And with you, it is no different. Pain can destroy you or it can transform you. It can make you bitter or it can make you wiser. It can paralyze you or it can propel you forward. The question that truly matters is not, why did this happen to me? But rather, how can I use this pain to grow? This is the difference between those who become victims of life and those who become wise. The wise do not deny pain. They feel it, acknowledge it, but do not let it consume them. Instead of asking, why me? They ask, what can I learn from this? And this shift in perspective makes all the difference, because in the end, pain is not the end of the road. It is just a portal, an invitation for you to become someone stronger, more aware, more prepared for life. The choice will always be yours. If pain can be transformed into growth, why do so many people remain trapped in suffering? The answer lies in something deep and often invisible: attachment to identity. Without realizing it, we become prisoners of the story we tell about ourselves. We cling to our traumas, our pains, the beliefs we have carried since childhood. We create an identity based on what we have lived, what we have suffered, and what we believe to be true about ourselves and the world. And even though this identity causes us suffering, there is something about it that feels familiar. And the familiar, even when painful, gives us a false sense of security. The unknown, on the other hand, is frightening. That is why many people prefer to remain trapped in what they already know, even if it means carrying the weight of a story that no longer makes sense. But here is the truth. To achieve peace, you must be willing to die psychologically. This means abandoning the fixed identity you have built over the years. It means letting go of the beliefs that limit you, the labels you have accepted, the stories you tell yourself to justify why your life is the way it is. And this is not easy, because it means letting go of what you have always believed yourself, to be in order to become something new. But this is the only way to set yourself free. True freedom does not come from trying to control life, but from learning to flow with it. When you stop resisting change, when you accept that life is in constant transformation and that you, too, can transform, something incredible happens. The weight of the past disappears. You realize that you no longer need to be defined by what happened to you, that you no longer need to carry old pains as part of your identity, that at any moment you can choose a new path, a new way of being, and it is in that moment that peace becomes possible, because peace is not in clinging to what once was. It is in allowing yourself to be who you truly are, without fear of change, without fear of growth, without fear of leaving behind what no longer makes sense. If we want to find peace, we must be willing to abandon the fixed identity that imprisons us. But there is another obstacle that keeps us trapped in suffering: the illusion of control. From an early age, we are led to believe that if we can control everything around us, we will be safe. We try to control our emotions so as not to show weakness. We try to control people to avoid disappointment. We try to control circumstances to ensure that nothing goes off track. But this pursuit of absolute control is a trap, because no matter how hard we try, life will always be unpredictable. People will not always act as we expect. Our plans will not always go as we want. Emotions will arise regardless of our will. And the more we try to control everything, the more we suffer. The fear of the unexpected paralyzes us. The frustration of seeing things slip out of our control consumes us. The anxiety of trying to predict every detail of life exhausts us. But what if, instead of trying to control everything, we learn to trust? Trust that, no matter what happens, we will be able to handle the situation. Trust that we do not need to predict every detail of the future to be prepared. Trust that peace does not come from control, but from the ability to accept reality as it is. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Men are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." In other words, it is not what happens that causes us suffering, but how we interpret and react to it. When you understand this, something changes. You realize that you no longer need to waste your energy trying to control the uncontrollable, that you can simply live, trust yourself, and handle each situation as it arises. And it is in that moment that peace becomes possible. Because true peace is not in trying to control life, it is in learning to flow with it. If we learn that control is an illusion and that peace comes from our ability to handle life as it is, an essential question arises: how can we strengthen this ability? The answer lies in how we talk to ourselves, because in the end, it is not just the external world that challenges us. Many times, our greatest enemy is within our own mind. Think about how many times you have sabotaged yourself. How many times your inner voice told you that you were not good enough, that you were not capable, that you did not deserve something better. How many times you believed negative thoughts without questioning them, allowing them to define your actions and emotions. That inner voice is often not truly yours. It is a reflection of the criticisms you have heard throughout your life, the fears you have absorbed, the insecurities that were implanted in you. But here is the truth. You do not have to keep listening to that voice. The mind can be your worst enemy or your greatest ally, and the difference lies in how you choose to dialogue with it. If you want to find peace, you need to learn to reprogram your mind. This means treating yourself with compassion. It means stopping the constant self-criticism and starting to support yourself. It means questioning negative thoughts instead of accepting them as absolute truths. When a destructive thought arises, ask yourself, is this really true? Would I say this to someone I love? Is this thought helping me or harming me? Little by little, you will realize that you no longer need to be a prisoner of your own mind. And when your mind becomes your ally, something incredible happens. True, peace finally becomes possible, because peace is not just the absence of external chaos. It is the harmony within you, and that harmony begins the moment you decide to change the way you speak to yourself. After everything we have explored so far, one truth becomes undeniable. Peace is not something we find by chance. It is not hidden somewhere, waiting to be discovered. Peace is something we build every day with every choice we make, and now you have a choice before you. You can continue living on autopilot, reacting to the world, allowing your emotions, fears, and unconscious beliefs to determine your life. You can continue seeking control where it does not exist, running from silence, clinging to an identity that no longer serves you, or you can decide something different. You can choose to change your perception. You can choose to observe your thoughts instead of being dominated by them. You can choose to let go of what you cannot control and focus on what is truly in your hands. You can choose to transform pain into growth instead of allowing it to define you. And above all, you can choose to stop running from yourself and finally face what is inside you. This is the decision that separates those who remain trapped in suffering from those who find true freedom. So I ask you, what do you choose? If this message resonated with you, write in the comments, "I choose peace." Because writing this is not just a comment, it is a commitment to yourself, to your evolution, to building a life where nothing and no one can shake you again.